PIMENTEL with BehindTheGloves.com here with trainer of Shawn Porter, father of Shawn Porter, Ken Porter. This is brought to you in part by Fresco Box. Ken, as we were talking earlier, we were talking about the news that Keith Thurman vacated his belt. Once again, just notify us how you were notified and just your initial reaction of it.
Well, I actually knew about this about a week prior to the announcement, and the information came from me from the top. Basically in that situation, you know, when you get that information, you're not allowed to discuss it. You have to let the people that are in control of, you know, the announcement make their announcement. So, you know, it was just a matter of time, and we knew that they were going to, and I was glad that they did. But beyond that, you know, the next thing I'm waiting to see is an actual date, an actual venue, and actual negotiations of a contract so that we can get this fight promoted. Beyond that, you know, I know that the expectation would be if they're not doing this in a reasonable amount of time, that, you know, on my behalf, that it goes to a purse bid so that we can get it done. So I'm willing to do anything that it takes to get this done.
So before we even talk about Danny Garcia versus Shawn Porter, just how happy or how did you feel once it was said, hey, you know what, he's dropping the belt, he can't defend it any longer? I know that whatever Thurman was doing was holding Shawn Porter and other welterweights from making moves and making fights. How did you feel that burden was finally lifted?
You know, it's a relief from a standpoint of, you know, you win the title eliminator, and you believe that the powers that be, the people that are in place to make the decisions, will make the right decisions. And then you look up and you got to fight another title eliminator. And in that next title eliminator, you know, we asked if we could get Danny, but Danny declined and didn't want to take the fight. You know, and he's still walking around, saying that he was never offered a fight with Shawn Porter. But, you know, as many times as Shawn Porter has said to him or said, hey, Danny, let's get it on, you know, there's no question about it. But, you know, we just needed to, get the people that are in place to make the decisions to actually back us up in this situation. So there's a relief in there, and I'm glad it was done.
And I know that you guys, or anybody that has followed pretty much Shawn Porter and or Danny Garcia, there has always been somewhat of a connection between both. You guys have been to New York for his fights and have met him at media events saying you guys want the fight. For the people who saw the Danny Garcia versus Brandon Rios fight, at the post-fight inside the ring, Shawn Porter came up and said he wanted the fight. Even before that, he was talking to Keith Thurman, saying that he wanted to fight him ASAP. So there is history there between Danny Garcia and Shawn Porter in attempting or just talking about the fight. Obviously, earlier today, Angel Garcia made a video saying that Keith Thurman was stripped of the WBC belt. He didn't vacate, and that he's great. He's all right with the fight between Danny and Shawn, just as long as the terms are correct and that they go through the WBC protocol drug testing. Just your thoughts on that.
We're already a part of the WBC protocol drug testing, and part of that protocol is if you're rated in the top 10 by them, you have to take random drug tests. So Shawn has been taking random drug tests with the WBC about 3 years now. And beyond that, he also takes drug tests with any commission that he fights for. So the New York Boxing Commission drug tests Shawn prior to his fight and after his fight against Adrian Granados, also prior to his fight with Andre Berto and after the fight with Andre Berto. So this is something that Angel should know by now, that if you're rated in the top 10, you have to take drug tests. So we are already a part of that program. He can, check with the WBC people, and they will tell him that we are. Absolutely not a problem at all. So you can get rid of that excuse, and then the next excuse that you possibly would have is that you want more money and you got to have this, and so on and so forth. Well, that's not a problem either. I'm quite sure the networks are willing to pay what it needs, needs to make this fight happen. So, if anything's held up, it won't be because of us.
Now, is there any place that you would preferably want to fight? I know Danny has fought most of his fights recently in New York at the Barclays especially. You've obviously had your fights in the Barclays as well this last year. You've had fights in Las Vegas, Los Angeles. So has Danny. Would any venue be possible, or would you have maybe a concern of a certain venue?
No, I think that it makes perfect sense to do it at the Barclays. Number one, Shawn has fought there a number of times, and we've also drawn very big crowds there. And Danny Garcia is from the East Coast, not too far away from there, Philadelphia, and he's fought there, and he's drawn big crowds there. So it makes perfect sense to do it there. There's absolutely no reason to take it anywhere else. The Barclays in Brooklyn is just, it's a hotbed for boxing right now.
Let's go back a couple of months, and I believe it was maybe March or late February that Showtime made an extravaganza of announcing fights through the summer. Shawn Porter's name was announced on that extravaganza, but yet Shawn never showed up, and there was never really a fight planned at that point in time. Did you know about that? Did you know that Shawn's name was going to be brought up, saying that he would have a fight before that end of June time? And if so, why wasn't Shawn a part of that?
Shawn wasn't a part of that because he has some personal things going on. That was a situation that he chose. He was in New York, but he chose to go back home to deal with his personal situation. And, everything's fine as far as that's concerned. But, they want all the top guys to be a part of everything they got going on. And, because Shawn couldn't be there, at the last minute. He was in New York, but at the last minute he left the day prior to, since he couldn't be there. I'm quite sure that they made the, best decision that they could to do it the way that they did. But anyone that knows us, and you know us, for example, very well, knows that if we could have been there, he would have been there. We try to attend all the fights. We try to support, the other fighters. We try to support the sport. We try to support PBC. So, it's not a problem for us at all. We expect that even if we aren't able to make it, one day or something like that, we'll still be fighting.
All right, that works off well. And give me your thoughts on this whole Thurman vacating the belt, because it's weird because we knew he was injured and everybody expected the WBC to order an interim belt between Shawn and Danny fighting one another, and the winner of that bout going up to Keith Thurman after he has his comeback fight. But now it's for the belt, or that's what's being ordered, for the belt, for the WBC belt, and no matter what, Keith Thurman is the mandatory for the winner of that fight. So doesn't it seem like it's almost the exact same scenario?
Well, yeah, you can look at it that way, and it is the same scenario. But I will say that I believe this was what needed to be done, to ensure that the people that, the boxers that are putting their life on the line to go up in this ring got the type of justice that they needed. No one should hold the belt hostage and not at a time. And this was just something that needed to be done. And if the guy's not willing to fight or can't fight because of injuries, and they're going to keep happening, and we don't see anything showing us that he's going to be able to do it, then I think that was the best decision to make.
Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else